Hello Internet folks, welcome back to Pete's Plants. Today we have the privilege of being at Meadowlark Botanical Gardens in Vienna, Virginia. It's a beautiful place. Please come visit. If you feel motivated like most people do, donate to them. They are doing phenomenal work. And now we're going to have Peter talk about today's event.
Hello everyone, here we are having fun again. We're going to show how some of the staff members want to see how to graft, and I just dragged some plants in with me. This is a Banshosho, Pinus thunbergii, I can't get that word out, black pine. And it's Banshosho. It's one that I've grown from seed. The pine, I grew Banshosho. It produced a cone, so I started, and I had out of 21 seeds, I had 8 to come up, and over the years, 2 are still going strong. So, seeing that tree, I fell in love with it, and this I saw the growth characteristics of it, so I decided to start propagating it so other people could get it in their hand.
Now, one interesting thing about this tree is one of the participants was looking for the graft mark and couldn't find it. Could you speak to that?
Well, I taught myself to graft in the root crown because you don't find that many people doing it, if anybody. It's all production. And there's nothing worse than seeing a beautiful tree and 18 inches up as this big graft union knot. And it won't work for bonsai. So bonsai is my main hobby, and I just decided that if the Japanese can do it, I can too. I don't have a greenhouse, I don't have a misting system, none of that stuff. Okay, but over the years I figured out, I got an unfinished basement, and I figured out how to make it survive down there. And there are a few little tricks you can use to help along. So,
on the East Coast, when is the best time to graft?
We're almost out of the best time, but we're cheating because we've had some cold weather. I like end of February, March, because then shortly after I see whether they have taken or not, I can get them outside to start growing. And for me, not having a controlled environment, that's an important key. So that's, oh boy, yeah, something. So that's why I like this time of year. So, people with a controlled environment, they will probably graft anytime they feel like it and have good success. I don't have that. I don't have that much space. I don't have that controlled environment. I just have a house with about 500 plants all around it and do the best I can to keep everything alive. So, as we prepare for grafting, the first thing is, these are grafting knives. And I want each of you to do a close inspection, because after you do the inspection of it, I'm going to give you a pop quiz. Okay? And I'm not trying to be a smart joker, I'm just trying to share with you what I spent years trying to teach myself. Okay? So, I want you to understand, oh, thank you so much, Charles. I want you to understand the principle of the grafting knife, okay? Now look at those blades closely and tell me what you see. all of you have had some kind of an experience with a knife.
It's very sharp.
Yes.
Be careful. Normally I carry a bunch of Band-Aids with me when I'm doing this. What else did you see?
The curved down point instead of it being kind of like a traditional straight blade. That's the word.
Okay.
Kind of curves down on this edge.
Oh, no. Well, what else do you see?
It's heavy.
No, it's not that bad, honey. Come on now, folks.
Knife.
All of you are in the horticultural field, so tell me what you see.
Is it a double blade? No. Double edge?
Nope. Take a good look at it.
Not serrated.
No, you don't want to try to graft
It
with.
has a notch.
Nope.
No?
You're right, it does have a notch, but there's one other thing. What side is the bevel on?
On the inside.
Left.
Right. So the left side.
Mine's on the left.
You see that bevel? The whole purpose of that bevel is when you make your cut,
Yeah.
okay? The cut will be straight on one side and then
Curved on the end. Okay.
curved on the other, okay? And when you get a good grafting knife, you don't want anybody cutting toenails with it, that's for sure, okay?
No.
And they'll end up taking a toe off. I mean, these things are super sharp. But the important thing in grafting is making your cuts, okay? And to teach myself, I developed a little method, and I don't have it with me either, where I would take a small block and put a piece of old inner tube or rubber over it so that I could sterilize it and then lay the piece on to make my cuts. Well, I've been at this since 1980, so I've learned that I don't need that anymore. Normally I show people that if they are really interested in grafting. Now, to graft.
I thought it was interesting that you sterilized the knives.
Oh God, yes. How many times have you seen a sick plant and you prune on it and then go to another plant with the same pruners and never sterilized? Are you taking that fungus or whatever it is from one plant to the next? My dear friend in California, Roy Nakatoshi, made the trees for the Karate Kid movie, incidentally. Maybe some of you remember that. And yeah, we communicate quite a bit. I introduced him to the East Coast in 86, 87. So we used to fly him out quite regular for bonsai workshops, and he just likes that I'm experimenting with so much. Now, to do a root crown graft, you need to be able to see where the roots are coming off, okay? If you just wanted to graft to have the material, you could graft way up here. It's easier when you do a higher graft, but then you're gonna have that big knot. Now, this piece I grafted 6 years ago, and if you come over, I'll show you exactly where the graft is. If you can't see it,
It's in the bottom, right? It has a scar.
There's a little
There.
here,
No,
lower.
lower. There.
you're good, that's it.
Oh, wow. You really can't notice that.
Yeah, well, if I do a good bonsai tree, That's what I want. Okay? But I'll be quite as honest with you now, folks. I'm 80 years old. There ain't but so much more I want to do. Okay?
Point to the graph,
The graph is right there.
Yep.
Okay? Now, in a couple more years and a few more transplanting sessions, it'll almost be gone. Okay? And we do the same thing for Japanese maples. I mean, they are notorious and expensive as the devil. And seeing all of this stuff, years ago, back in the 70s, when I first got into bonsai, and I saw all these beautiful pictures, and I started asking questions, and one fella said, "Son, you can't afford it." So I did a lot of research and, God, writing to Canada, any place that I thought had some information on plants. Because you see these beautiful plants on a picture, and the first thing that happens is, I want 12-inch lettering. I want that. Well, if you can afford it, buy it. But
Did you start these by seed?
well, I cheated. I let Mother Nature start them, and then I go around and collect them.
There you go.
Hey, as I said, I work for a living, and I can appreciate anybody learning to do easy things while they're working. Okay, I had to figure out I couldn't afford, as I read more on grafting, I couldn't afford a greenhouse, didn't have the space to put it up. I mean, it was just, I looked at it and said, okay, let me see what I can do for myself and not have all of that expense. And this is what got me into it. I saw a fellow that was grafting regular for root crowns for bonsai purposes. We had a symposium in 1980. I got to talk to him, and I was eager. Will you give me some pointers on what to do for grafting? He said, "Oh man, just get yourself some plants and sit down and try it." That was not what I was looking for, but hey, that's all he was willing to say. So I did. Now, the reason I shook off the dirt and everything is because I wanted to see all of this. And that's what each of you that want to try grafting will do. Okay? And I will show you with this one, and I'll show you a few Japanese maples. I didn't know how many or what, and what I'm going to show you is you can use it pretty much on any tree. Okay? The technique is pretty much the same regardless, and there's so many different techniques of grafting. The one that I'm doing, they refer to as a cleft graft, okay, and a veneer graft, you know. Okay, folks, just tell me what will work for me, you know. So, now I'm going to sit down, mainly because I've had 3 back surgeries and standing gets to me sometimes. Okay. Well, you're gone now. I have an American elm. It's behind my house, and it loads me up every year. So, although they make beautiful bonsai, I'm so busy weeding those suckers, I just can't get interested in it. Now, people talk about the high side and where they graft and everything to achieve some results. And you look at this, Is that a good area that you can graft in? Maybe. Is this a good area that you can graft in? Maybe. It depends. I will more than likely graft right in here. Mainly because there's one good root, there's another one, and a couple more back here. And I'm always thinking about future development as far as bonsai go. If you just want to graft to reproduce, you don't worry about all of that. Okay? And I've had a few people, not many, to really enjoy a piece of material that I have given them that I've grafted and grown. And the beauty of it is they won't tell anybody. They think that you are my sole source, so I don't want nobody else dealing with you, you know. I mean, I've run into some of everything. And now I look at it and I say, well, I want to show as many people as I can what has worked for me. And if you people are interested, I will share with you all of this, okay? Now, first thing I want you to do is grab yourself a pine tree and clean it up like I got this one. Doesn't matter, they are all about the same.
How old are these?
The pines are 4 years old. 4 years old, yeah. And the maples, they're probably 3 years old. They're not very, maples are a faster growing tree. So they do well. It'll come on out, honey, just pull on it. There you go. I like these containers because they allow me to put pressure on the bottom of it.
Just clean this off the soil.
Please, this is what you want to see. Where the roots, the crowns of the tree is. Now, in growing seedlings, I've learned a lot because I want to have the seedling in a certain shape and health condition, and it can be done and achieved in a 2-year period if you really invest the time in it. But the last 5 years were not very kind to me because my wife was sick, so I had to take care of her. And in December the 16th of 2020, she died. So, you know.
Is that good enough?
So it was sad. 60 years we were together.
That's great. That's
Yep.
wonderful.
So I look at it now and say, well, I want to show daughter as much as I can, and prepare for the day that I join her.
No, not that soon. Just maybe
So,
for a while.
well, I'll do what I can, but you know, it's now all of you people in the horticultural field, when you pull that out, you see like a little white film on it.
With the root?
That's a mycorrhiza from pine trees. And if you want a healthy pine, now you see where it is?
The base.
Yeah.
And then what now?
Well, I want to say 2 of you, one here, one there, sit, and then I'm going to show you, and then you can get a chance to try, okay? It's the next thing
I noticed you have sand in here and gravel, right?
I got grit, gravel. Pine's like good drainage. And so consequently, you want to come up with a mix that you can live with and work with. People are always looking for what somebody else has done, and then they run home and try to copy it. Well, I've run into a couple of problems that broke me up from telling people all my little things that I've learned over the year, you know, because I used to run into a situation where they would come back to me at the next meeting and say, you know what you told me to do? I said, yes. I tried it and my plant died. Well, folks, don't blame me if your plant died. I shared with you what I could do. Now,
They didn't love it properly.
yeah, well, God only knows what they did. I wasn't there and I didn't live in their environment.
Can you talk about what you're doing when you cut those?
Well, I'm getting what they refer to in the trade as the scion wood to do the grafts. In other words, we want to reproduce this tree and we want it to be exact, the same. Hold it upside down and you see the little facets. You pull the way they are growing, okay? It's important because if you pull the opposite way, you stand a chance of damaging the cambium, okay? So you just take off the excess needles. They are not needed.
Yeah.
Okay? Got it?
No, we're taking a lot of them.
I'll watch you do another one too.
Okay, honey. So you get this kind of as clean as possible.
Do you want to leave these on?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
They will be in your way.
How much bare
Well,
branch do you want?
bare branch, that's about what you want right there.
Okay. And that's what?
8 to 9 facets of needles. See, the needles are in facets of 2. Black pine needles are usually in pairs of 2. So that's what you want to take off, the facets and the needles, okay? And the reason you're doing this is the less needles, the less evaporation, okay? When a tree is trying to heal, you want all of the strength to go into the healing process and not trying to grow a new plant. By you taking all of the excess off, you've stopped it from evaporating too much water. Take more off, honey.
What's that?
Yeah, that's good. Now, to graft, I tell people to practice. Just go out and get some small twig branches like of oak, maple, whatever. Just because you're going to want to practice making your cuts, okay? And that's going to be an important factor, making your cuts. Because once you place your knife to start your cuts, you want to make that one straight, smooth cut. No sawing back and forth. It has to be in one smooth motion. When you do the cut here and the cut here. Questions, anyone?
Just like a surgery, huh?
That's why I say a lot of people don't understand, but grafting is like a surgery. Let me see what you got, honey. Okay, you're good. Now,
Is there danger of taking off too much?
in anything in life, there's a danger, okay? So, what you want to do is to take off what has worked for you in the past, and hopefully it will be enough.
Well, for
Yeah.
a first timer.
Yeah, well, okay. Now, in making your cuts, I'm going to use this because there's some pieces up here that I really don't need. It's so important to get a feel for when you're cutting and how much you're cutting, okay? It's very important. And that's why I encourage people, gentlemen,
Thank you.
I'm not sure about this one. I wanted him,
That one. There.
yeah, that'll work.
That for Charlie?
Yep. Okay, now, what I want you to do is use one of the knives, okay?
Here. Okay, you want to try? You want this one? Go ahead. You go first. We're gonna watch.
Okay.
If you don't have a grafting knife, what is a good workaround?
Single edge razor blade. You're good for maybe 10 to 12 cuts with a single edge razor blade. Okay? And after that,
How about your utility knife? The one you cut off this one.
yep,
They're not strong enough.
they just don't make the clean cuts. Okay? Like I said, look at the blade and look at the blade of a utility knife. It's slightly different. So we're gonna save this because we're gonna need it. Let's see here, okay. Now, you're left-handed.
No, but when I've done floral work, I've always held it in my left hand.
Then you may want to get a left-handed grafting knife if you get into grafting. And I don't say that to be oddball, but if that's how you make your cuts, the bevel on the blade will be on a different side. So you understand where all of this? Okay. Now, just to show you, give you an idea, let me take a small piece of that. Here's why I wanted you to place your knife, okay? Just get it on the piece that you're trying to graft, okay? And when you start cutting, you just pull your knife straight, okay? You're basically exposing camion.
You only get the skin off. You
Nope.
don't get the wood.
Stop. Slide that knife. Don't put your thumb up there. We're not in a kitchen. We're not cooking now, peeling potatoes or whatnot. I want you to practice. Just place the knife. You're doing good so far. And then just start pulling. And as you do, take some of the, there you go. That's the right way. Keep going. Learn to slide your knife. You see how if you slide it, you guaranteed a pretty smooth cut. But if you just start putting your finger on it and, putting pressure, you're going to change you're going to change the angle, and that won't be a nice smooth cut.
There. But the knots cannot go.
Yeah,
There.
there you go. Yep. You see, by exposing the cambium, the green area right here, you want that to join in with the other part. And that's where the tree is going to start. Don't put your knife, get it up the back of it. No, get your blade all the way up there. There you go. Now, slide, not pull, slide.
So you're going from the
Slice
hilt to the tip.
Slice.
So as you go down.
There you go. Now you're doing
Okay.
it. You see, and it's just one of the things that we learn. And
How thick is this supposed to be?
I used to tell people, if you can get a cut that's twice as wide as the material you're working on, okay? You're doing good, okay? Now do you see why I say just get some old twigs and practice and slide it.
Does it
Yeah.
help if you lay the branch on a solid surface?
That's how I taught myself first.
So instead of holding it in your hand, you lay the branch down for stability?
You lay it down on something that won't damage the grafting knife, okay? And you place your knife where you want the bevel to be, and then you just slide your knife across it and make your cut. There, you got the
Yeah.
you got the hang of it now. Charles, here.
You're going down like this.
Rick, do you want a
That way
knife?
you start,
have one.
You
You have
start
one?
here and you end up over here. If that makes sense.
Charlie, do you need a knife?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
A razor is good too. There you
Yeah.
go. One motion.
Yep, so this is so important. Well, each step in the grafting process is important. And as time goes on, you can master that. You see what I'm talking about? Slide the knife, don't put pressure on it.
Yeah.
And because when I go home, I will sit down, not today, but one day, and to get these knives ready for the next grafting session, I will use surgical stone to sharpen to get that real fine edge there. Okay? So, to keep them and clean them up good so that next time we're ready to go.
Okay.
Everybody feel comfortable making that cut?
Yep.
Because years ago, to teach myself, I made that little rubber pad, and then I would just place the knife and then slide it back, and that's how I made the cut. Okay? If you want to try it here, put the piece on here.
Yeah, the knife, which one?
I'll let you see this.
Move it to where it's comfortable for you to work. No, when you're doing it like this, place the knife
Like down.
like so. Just place the knife where you want that angle.
That angled enough, or
Well,
not quite?
did you feel you made one smooth cut? That's the key. Okay? No. Slide your knife. You're putting pressure on it. You made a good cut there, okay? But you will find it better if you slide the blade, it will just cut so much easier. Don't put that thumb, that's a sure way to cut your thumb. And if you learn to slide the knife along and guide it to where you want it, you will find that works almost 99% of the time.
How many years did you practice before you got this down?
4 years. From 1980, I saw my first success in 1984.
So is that about how?
Yeah, you're getting that. That's exactly what you want, okay?
So to expect to sit down and do it successfully in your first time is unrealistic?
You might luck out, have what they call beginner's luck, but in general, don't get discouraged if it doesn't take the first time. Try again. And like I said, it took me 4 years. I didn't have anybody I could ask. And I just analyzed what I was doing and try to figure out if I'm doing something wrong or exactly what. And I made my changes and tried different things. And then I jumped cocky. I stopped keeping notes. Oh, I can remember that. Duh. Yeah, right. Okay? So, this, I'm glad you... Well, you went at it pretty good there, my dear. Try this part.
Half of you want to take half off?
Yeah, well, you see the thickness of this and the thickness where you want to graft it. You want twice that thickness, okay? If that's the piece you want to graft, then you're going to want to make a cut about twice the thickness of that, okay? But this, okay, each one of your cuts here is where your knife was moving on you.
Yeah. So I think I better use another stick.
Okay, you look at it from this side. What do you see wrong with this?
It's flat on the top.
No, that's the least of it.
Oh.
But you see, you come in and then you go back out.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay? Since you will be inserting this,
Oh, pointy.
you want it kind of on the pointed side. And that's where you make your second cut on the other side so that you can work it down. Okay?
All right, then I have to use a knife. May I?
Be my guest.
Thank you.
Take back the rest of mine.
Now, you see how that's going along?
Yeah.
Okay.
Earlier attempt.
Yeah, well, it's a learning process, and that's why I'm glad to spend as much time as I possibly can. Now you're there.
Better?
Yep. There you go. Grafting, to me, is fun because I see when I'm successful like this, I'm happy, okay? And if I'm not successful, I've learned the hard way to say, what did I do wrong? Okay? The beauty of somebody filming this on a video, you can see how you acted and what you did, okay? And you look at some of these rare trees that are on the ground out here, how do you think they got here? Someone grafted, okay? And to say that I can't do it, to me, that's a cop-out. To say I'm going to try it, yes, that's very smooth. Look at that on all sides, okay? And you can see a nice bevel. And then when you make a second little cut on this side and insert it, you've given the plant all kinds of cambium layer to feed and to join into.
So the cambium is what you're trying to fuse.
The cambium layer is what you're trying to match up. Very good. Okay?
And where will the root develop if you are successful?
The root is already here. This is, eventually, this will be the major root system. Okay? Just like on the Japanese maple, this will be the major root system. Okay?
And you'll cut off the...
As it grows, you just keep reducing this. I usually take 2 to 3 years of reducing the wet nurse, as they refer to it, because for the first couple of years, it's feeding the piece that you've added on to it. Okay? You see?
It comes like back up.
Yeah. That tells you that, you know, you pull it. Oh, this is, ideally, I used to take an old piece of tube, staple it on here so it's good and tight, and clean, and wipe it down with alcohol, and then just sit there, place that piece on there, and then make the cuts. I mean, it was, when you're working by yourself, and trying to teach yourself, you have to come up with all kind of ingenious little methods.
Off of that one.
So, but you know, there are plenty of excess branches around here. When you got some time, just sit and practice. After they've pruned off the tree, and say, you get your feel for it. And I would tell you that fall of the year would be an ideal time to start practicing making your cuts, okay? Be careful, there's a knot right there. You don't want to try and force it. You're doing very good with that.
Pruner?
Yep.
One go.
Are we going to be getting rid of the tops of these after we graft? Can I take a cutting from this to practice on too, with a different kind of wood?
Yeah, well, it's just straight black pine. So you can cut a piece off and practice. Working with pines, you may find the sap. It will, God, they will start bleeding right away.
Oh, wait then.
Okay. Yeah, you know, this is, I look at it and say, well, most evergreens are going to produce sap quick. And this is why you want to do your grafting. Once you start making the cuts here and here and on rootstock, you want to get it in there as soon as possible. Okay? Because that sap is where the tree is already trying to heal. Now, okay, now I'm going to show you.
This is it. Don't cut too much of this.
No, well, I did let me have the knife, please, honey. I did a grafting workshop in Richmond, and the first thing that two people came up to me, said, I was trying to make the cut and cut the whole thing off. You know, I mean, that's life, okay? Now, to say which piece you want to cut first or second, you know, it doesn't matter. I like the way this root is, so I want the graft so that as time goes on, that root and the graft will be one. And that way, now, you're going to need to knock down a lot of that. You don't want it in your way, okay?
Is this the right amount off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, I'm going to show you how the cuts go now. Okay?
It looks like you're bending the branch.
I'm bending it to make it easier for me to work with. And I usually go the thickness of the blade. Okay? And this is where practicing your cuts is so important.
You need that very quickly.
Yeah, well, honey, I'm working against the clock.
Clock being the sap.
You got that right.
Gotcha.
Now, I've made 2 cuts. One on each side. The long cut goes into the trunk. Okay? Too thick. You see why?
Yeah.
You see the problem there?
Thin it out again.
It's too thick.
Yeah.
So I can do that by reducing the sides. See? I've taken that down some, and by me bending to make the cut, okay?
Yep.
Then it just fits in. When I release, it pulls it back up, okay?
Now do you need to bend it?
You want to use grafting rubber bands because they are treated to disintegrate and to allow the plant to breathe and swell, and then they just eventually fall off.
You don't put any food in there?
Nope.
Would adding like, I guess you don't want it to root, like rooting hormone, but are there like...
Why?
To help it heal better?
Well, if that's the way you want to try it, be my guest. I'm showing you what has worked for me. I'm not saying this is the only way, okay? Because each person that does grafting will have their own little things that they like to do.
Now, how long does that take to heal? Like to really get hold on there?
It could vary. Could take a month.
Oh, okay. That quick?
That quick. What you want to look for after you've done the graft is what they refer to as push. You'll see the candle begin to elongate. Then you know that when you see the candle begin to push out and elongate, then you know you were successful.
Candle being this little pine cone.
No, that right there.
The branch, future branch.
Future branch. That is the candle that will push out.
Can
Okay.
you keep 2 of them in the same trunk?
You can when you get to be very, very proficient in making your cuts. The fella that I was asking the question of about grafting, give me some ideas, he was good at that because he wanted certain trees to be like twin trunks, okay? And that's why he did that.
So you graft 2 pieces onto the same parent. They
Yep.
each grow, and as they grow up, you have what
Okay.
looks like 2 trees
There's a-
off of one, correct?
Yeah.
There it is.
And as they grow, you will develop one set of roots.
Are there 2 colors?
Oh, now you're going into real specialty. Yeah.
Thicker branch on these.
When you say 2 colors, what type of tree are you trying to graft like that? Azaleas? Yeah, well, you could.
And a rose?
Rose, you could do it also. Okay? Most people just want a single plant on the thing. Oh, great.
More practice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Or you can do apple and pear.
Plenty of people are doing those, okay?
So this grafting technique will work on fruit trees, correct?
Oh, yes.
But with fruit trees, you may not be as concerned about root crown because you just want it to grow.
That's exactly right. And you do those pretty high up. You want success when you're grafting for fruit trees and not aesthetics, okay?
The higher you, why is doing a graft
practice on
higher
this?
more successful?
This is big one.
If you graft higher up, you got more space to work freely,
Thank you.
okay?
So is this too thin?
No.
No. Okay.
Take a close look at,
Pruners on you. Can you snip that off? Thank
Kind of hard to see now with the rubber band.
yeah, well, no.
So that's the right thickness?
Yep,
Okay.
Can you just have one cup?
Is this the right?
beg your pardon?
You don't need 2 cups, just 1 cup's enough.
What happens when you
You do a second cut over here
Why though?
Yeah.
to expose the cambium and to get more of it together.
this part here?
The more cambium you can get touching, the better chance you have of it
Right.
So your edges and your edges.
of it
Yeah.
healing and whatnot.
Yeah, I get that. I was just wondering how thick
One
this
of these.
needs to be.
That's good. You just don't
Okay.
all the way off.
That's this.
So is this like the right depth you want to go to too?
The depth of the blade.
Or sorry, that's not the right way to phrase my question. But how close to the base? Yeah.
So that's
Don't you remember how to clean it up?
Like this is a wide.
Yep, always
blade.
the direction it's growing, because then it won't rip.
with the small one.
My practice.
So like your cut would just be that deep.
Great.
That's probably
You feel the wood, the resistance of it.
Yeah.
See, that's why I say get branches and just practice your cuts.
Though I feel like I went too.
Learning, that's the important thing, is to feel comfortable making that cut.
How, I guess, deep
Just takes
into the...
You don't want to go too deep, mainly because your cambium is further out. And the more cambium you can expose,
the better.
the better it's going to heal.
So you want minimum hardwood,
Exactly.
and hardwood being more the center.
Okay, you got your little piece ready to try it?
Yeah.
Okay. May I have a name, please?
Grace.
Grace, and you are?
Mo.
Mo.
Yes.
Okay.
Monique.
Monique. Okay, fine.
I think you're confusing her with the young lady that was with Charles last time.
Yeah.
Emily?
Yep.
Yeah.
I did too.
Like our short
Sorry,
nicknames.
Mo.
That's all right.
Okay.
Okay, may I?
Sure, please.
Now,
All right. Everybody got grafting rubber?
I need to grab one.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
What is a good source to get grafting rubber
Oh, you got
bands,
one.
and about how much do they cost?
The smallest amount that I could find was 1 pound. And here we go.
A lot of trees.
Yes. That's one of those items now. I don't know if you're familiar with A.M. Leonard.
Yes.
Very familiar. They have some excellent, inexpensive grafting knives. Now,
In the description of the video.
that's one from A.M. Leonard. And it was their bottom of the line, cheapest. Someplace here, let's see. This, nowadays, is almost $100 grafting knife. It's, you know, the more expensive the knife, the better I'm succeed. Bull.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you where.
Whoa,
where
whoa.
we, oh. Oh, okay.
So if the end goal is to have it like the depth of the
You see-
knife, I would want to start my cut.
Maybe about here.
Okay.
Okay, now what I want you to do is get a bend there. That'll make your sliding the knife down
Yeah, this is me.
a lot easier.
What size is the minimum and what size is the maximum trunk that you want to graft onto?
3/4 of an inch. I would say trunk size about, this is a good size. I like that. Okay? There was one in here that was a little bit larger. I thought, well, maybe it's this one. It's getting up there. And the reason you don't want nothing too much thicker, 1/2 inch or so, you're going to run into your problem of your cambium layer. Okay? They will be less thick and more difficult to match up. Okay? The younger the material, the easier it is to match up.
So is this too wide for this? Is that the
When you say too wide, no.
No? Okay.
No. What you want to do is when you look in here
Yeah.
and you see the cambium, your piece that you are putting in, you want to make sure that that's matching.
So
With
that
the-
would be correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do the cambium, matching it up is what you want to do. Okay? Yeah.
So what do you think of this cut?
Good, you got a lot of exposed cambium, okay? And that's important.
One's just a little too high on this end. It's not gonna match up.
Cut some of the tip off.
Yeah.
So in the parent
Yeah.
plant, when you make that cut, you're just kind of exposing a wedge so that when you put the piece you're grafting into, it fits in that wedge, and then on the cut you bring the lip back to the main trunk.
Yep. Don't worry, you matching the cambium layers, that's your key. Either one side or the other. Okay? And when you release the tree back up, it kind of grabs this and holds on to it to allow you to tie it with the rubber band.
And you lay the rubber band down one end on the roots and just wrap it, and then after you've wrapped it over the graft, you tie it. Is that correct?
Yes, I let the rubber band kind of tie the first or hole by wrapping around, and then let's see, let me get one and I'll show you. By wrapping the rubber band around like that, okay, one piece over the other, it ties itself, or it holds itself, and then I can use the rest to cover the cut. Go ahead, pull the rubber band, stretch it out. It'll
It's possible to pull it too tight.
As the saying goes, it will start girdling.
Girdling being what?
It will cut off the circulation, and then you'll start getting a big piece, a big knot right there, where the tree is trying to grow over the girdling part.
So what is the ideal tightness for that?
For what?
For the rubber band?
So now you gotta do it.
Just hold the
Just
piece.
holding it in place, nothing
Yeah,
tight.
that's the sole purpose of the rubber band.
Can you do it on here?
Oh, I'm nervous.
I know, I am too.
Do you want to sit
Wait a
down?
minute, wait a minute.
No, wait till you're done. I want to see where you think I should make my cut.
Oh, you got a nice piece here. You got root all over the place. Right there.
Right there.
Could you show me the sand?
That was the first one.
Yeah, no, it's just a rocking chair.
Slide that knife, don't push with force. Start your cut right there.
Okay.
Bend that, the knife will slide so much easier.
There you go.
Not quite, my dear. It would have been better over here,
But the root is here. The mother root.
that's
Can
okay.
I have two then?
So, you want the camion to match up out here.
So it has that shutter?
No, you're good. See? Now, tie it off. You might want to find, taking it out of the pot will give you space to work.
Thank you.
So is that?
Yep, where's your piece to insert?
Haven't cut it yet.
Oh,
The sap runs.
So is
No.
there? No.
just a minute. Here.
Okay. And
No,
no.
this way. Hold the knife up and down.
This is so cool.
You're gonna be like chopping it at an
Oh
angle.
yeah. Okay.
Slide the knife. There you go. You notice that once you start sliding the knife, it goes so much easier.
And I want one side to be shorter than the other.
Yes, that's the general practice. Now, you got yours? You happy?
Yeah. We'll see how it turns out.
You want to do a second one, or
So does that?
If there's extra, I will gladly do a second one.
I think there's some in that flat.
So is that?
Go ahead, get it in there. The reason I'm trying to encourage pine trees, that sap will start, I think it's something like 5 seconds. It will start,
My rubber band.
it will start to go into the healing process to seal. Okay?
And for tying it off, I just layer it on top of. Do I?
You're gonna need one end, this end, a little bit longer. Okay, now just wrap.
There you go.
Okay, now you see, pull tight because you want to be close together. Okay?
I'm having a harder time with the rubber band than anything.
Well, yeah. That's why they are designed
Thank you.
to disintegrate and to break apart, okay?
You're to inspect.
Thank you.
Very good.
Pass.
I'll use an old German phrase on you. Pass, Wagel und hat Luft.
Danke schön.
Translation.
It passes, it breathes, and it has air. That's basically what and it's one of these phrases that you lose a lot in German when you translate it. In German, it means that you've done well, the job is good, everything is in place, and so well.
Can you sacrifice me a piece so that I might?
Oh, okay, sure.
I'll let you pick.
right?
Charles?
I feel like I'm like operating
Alright.
on someone.
Ta-da!
You happy now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I try with the cherry? Or maple? Or sorry, the
Maple.
maple. I don't know.
Sure.
What am I- And so it doesn't matter if you're doing a pine
No.
on a maple rootstock.
that will.
Okay.
No, I don't have, well, I do have some small pieces of special maple that I've dragged along.
Ooh, what kind of maple is that?
It's a dwarf variety that
Red?
it's semi-red, and I didn't know, no one told me what you wanted or anything, so I didn't.
Thank you.
But can you get from here?
You can, but why graft a piece there unless you just want to use it for learning, okay? If that's the case, fine. You can take a piece off of this.
And put on this tree.
No,
You can't?
you
It
can't
needs to be like
put,
the same genus.
Ah, you're gonna have, can I try?
be my guest. That's just like me taking a pine tree and trying to graft it to an elm. They're not compatible.
Or you end up with something really crazy like Tiglon, where they made a tiger and a lion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, the basics of
Should
the
have done that not over the...
the basics of the same family, you know, like these are just regular Japanese maples. I use these to graft lace leaf maples onto them. Because lace leaf will not produce a good root system on its own.
So is it okay that this root system isn't as developed as
Yeah.
the pine?
Now, I notice you took the scion pieces out of a plastic bag. Do you go around and how do you get your scion pieces? And
Well, I go into my backyard and pieces that I want to graft, I cut them, put them in a bag with a damp paper towel to keep the moisture there, because this sitting in the sun, in 15 minutes it'll be so hot and just dry out. Yes, dear.
you store them until you're ready to graft.
I put them in an ice box if I'm not going to graft the same day, and just leave them in there, and when I'm ready to graft, I take them out and go into the
How long will they
process.
stay in the ice box okay?
Oh, usually about 30 days is the max you want to push it.
So with this one, you said that you would know if it took by this extending, right?
Yes,
How would you know with this?
when the
When you
leaves,
start to shoot?
yeah.
Okay.
So you're looking for growth out of the piece you grafted onto.
The scion wood is commonly referred to. The scion is what you graft onto the rootstock.
So would I want to make my cut like here?
Yeah, you can. Sure.
Okay. Is that where you would make your cut?
You go lower, I bet.
No, that seems like a good spot right in here. Because what I'm looking at, you see the bark is beginning to change.
Yeah.
It's going not, it won't be as easy cutting into that as it would into the real greenish stuff. Give it a try.
Okay.
Okay. After you do this, what is the aftercare for the tree?
So it's gonna.
Moisture. What I do when I get them home, or when I'm grafting at home, I just take long fiber sphagnum moss and just pile it all up around here.
Dry or wet?
Long fiber sphagnum moss.
Where you get them?
Oh, it plants.
Here?
Yep. Plant supply places,
Walmart.
Walmart, any place that sells plants and stuff, they may have it.
Walmart, you can find it with the pet supplies.
Now, Walmart, what nursery is close by?
I don't know. Can we use the one in the soil here? The green
Soil?
moss?
No.
No.
Not the same. The long fiber sphagnum moss, nothing lives in it. And that's what you're creating.
Just moisture,
Zero.
like a sponge.
So
Yep.
you soak the sphagnum
Too
moss.
long of a cut?
Did you
Too
use
tall of a
2
cut?
or 1 rubber
Okay.
band? 1?
I used 2. I broke my one band.
Take some of this off the tip.
And can I just do that with pruners, or do you want to use the...
Have you sterilized your prunus?
I have not.
Okay.
With the sphagnum moss, how wet do you want it? You don't
Moist. You don't want it dripping moisture.
How long does the sphagnum moss stay onto the graft?
Until I see it that the graft has taken place, and I leave it until I get a chance to transplant it. Ideally, I like to leave it on for at least 1 year.
And the sphagnum moss is covering the actual graft?
Yes, it's like a Band-Aid, not a Band-Aid per se, but it adds and purifies everything that's around the tree.
And you just mist the sphagnum moss periodically to keep it wet?
Moist, keep it growing.
Do you want to, like, water regularly, or just mist the moss?
Well, when you say water, you got to know when the soil is dry
Okay.
and how to water it, okay?
So you're
All right,
watering the
so-
tree, but not like getting the moss too soaking?
Well, the moss, water won't just stick in there. It just runs right through it.
Oh, that one will be cool. I like the shape of the,
The stalk.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
is this tight enough, the rubber band? I feel like I did it.
It's holding, and that's the whole purpose of the rubber band.
So you said probably about a month it would be good.
When you see that tip
Yeah.
begin to push,
Right here. Yeah.
yep, then you know, hey,
Then you know the fluid's flowing.
exactly. You say, I have succeeded.
So at some point, do you get rid of this base tree?
Yeah, probably in June I will start reducing the height because I want all of the energy to go into here.
And what increments do you reduce?
Oh, it depends. Maybe the top part. I don't want the tree to send up energy into parts that I'm not going to keep. Okay?
But you wouldn't cut it off down to the graft.
No, not. I'd give it a year, a good year, until I am convinced it's good and solid.
But you could leave it and grow 2 different trees off of it. I mean, if you just wanted it for something unique.
Yeah, well, you could.
But this is just the base, the
Right,
regular.
yeah.
The rootstock, they refer to it.
Yeah.
And
Have 2 different
Whereas
kinds
this
on
is
there.
the dwarf maple.
yeah. So one is going to outpower the other as time goes on. Okay?
So I'll just fill to the top here with moss.
Sure.
Okay.
So you wanna
Covering the
cover
rubber
the
band.
rubber band.
Cover the rubber band. The rubber band is there to hold the wound together. Okay? And you may be able to, you see a nice new growth there, you may be able to just cut this off.
Oh.
Now. Okay? And the reason I say, look at the stalk.
It's gonna take a lot of energy.
Yeah. And it's suffering, whereas this is strong.
Do I want to cut it to a node, or does that not matter?
Doesn't matter. If you want, be cute about it, you can cut it to a node. I mean, you know, it's all in what you want.
You're an easy teacher.
Generally for like
Oh,
We're gonna
aesthetics,
make one for
eventually you're
Anne.
gonna like
fine, go ahead.
Can you
Right.
choose one
Yeah.
for,
Sure.
and one for Sarah?
Sarah, who's she?
You met her, have you?
I don't think Sarah was there.
No.
I think it was just Em and Charlie that went.
Yep.
We doing one for Em?
Sarah's also, she
Probably
working with
should.
us. With,
I want to try doing a maple.
she not
Yeah.
That would be
Maybe we
really cute.
get this for
Sure.
Sarah. And that's
Okay. Wait a minute, you need more than one or?
Did we?
One more.
Okay, one more?
One for Debbie, one for.
Well, who knows that they'll even survive for everyone to get one.
This is true.
That's why you do extra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you guys are so cool. Instead of doing fancy party favors, you can do wonderful grafts.
Yeah. I'm about it.
Well, you know, if you don't succeed this year, we try it again.
Yeah.
And I tell people frequently, it's understanding the rootstock and as it grows and what it's doing, and then the piece, the scion wood, watch that grow, and it's a learning process, and when you're finished, you can say, man, I have accomplished something. And people say, oh, you grafted that? Yes.
I'll feel
You know.
good.
Yeah, well, and like I say, it took me 4 years before I saw my first success. And I was one happy rascal.
I'm rooting for these babies.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
So, in conclusion, do you have any other tips for this?
Well, know your material, that's all I can say. Know the material, how they grow, the scion wood, and the rootstock, and make sure that they are good and healthy, because it's nothing worse than trying to graft and your plants are not healthy. And aftercare is just as important, the whole process. Just like when we have surgery, put you in a special ward in the hospital and they're watching you, you want to do the same with your plants, okay?
So, what's your success rate with these now?
Well, whatever
10.
whatever I get, I'm happy with.
Okay.
Okay? I've never achieved 100% success.
Would you say it's most success though? Most
I would say if you need a number, honey, I would say if I get 60%, I am one happy rascal.
Okay. Very
Okay.
cool.
At what point do you feed the trees after
Maybe in June.
June?
Yeah, well, but when you first graft, you want, just like people, you want to heal first. Okay?
Babies.
All right.
I'm very
Well,
excited.
Internet folks, we hope you've enjoyed this grafting workshop. And if you have any questions or comments, we love to get them. Have a great day and go plant stuff.